Football Friday. Yes, sir, baby. What a week. What a circus week in Philly. Hey, man. God, thank you for the content. It didn't get any. Hey, I think the Eagles are actually more interesting and more entertaining now than they were during the football season. Okay? I think they're more entertaining now. This is fantastic. What a week. What an absolute week. That thing you called, the Liars Club that you had at that press conference the other day. That's what I'm calling it. It's now more from fireside chat to a Liars Club. It's like the Liars Club. Okay? As the Liars in Philly turn, it's the Liars Club. Wasn't really anything that was with any kind of value of truth. Okay? Nothing. But it really gave me a lot of content this week. I mean it, man. Hey, by the way, I hear people now around our city comparing Nick Sirianni to Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. There's a massive difference, and I said it yesterday. Those guys are coaches. They make their picks on head coaches, assistant coaches, offensive game plans, who they hire for their guys. They're involved in their game plan 100%. Nick Sirianni's not. He has no say in that. You even learned that yourself by listening to the Liars Club on Wednesday. You heard him say it. I don't got nothing to do with it anymore. I'm kind of like an overseer, a CEO kind of guy, like John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. No. Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh pick their coaches, pick the style of offense they want, win Super Bowls, have a quality organization, are great in draft picks. There's a difference between Nick Sirianni and Mike Tomlin. You can't honestly think that those two guys are the same. Mike hires his coaches. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't. Who in here believes that Nick Sirianni hires his coaches? Who thinks he hires his coaches? How many people believe, and I know this for a fact because two of my friends were hired in Pittsburgh by him. Mike's got complete autonomy. I played 3.5 years with Alfredo Roberts at the University of Miami. He's the tight end coach in Pittsburgh. Kevin Colbert, I've known for 35 years as a senior executive to Art Rooney and was the general manager of the team. Carl Dunbar was my teammate in the World League for 2 years. Those guys say they never interviewed at any time with Art Rooney or the GM. They only met with Mike. They didn't meet with Mike and a GM and his lapdog guy. They met with only Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin went, all right, you got the job. Nick Sirianni doesn't do that. That's the difference between those two. We also heard this week by some folks talking about that stupid ass 667 win percentage. I won't make a point to you on that. Got some great topics here. By the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Drew Rosenhaus. Not a fan of his, but there's some truth to what he's saying, and we'll get to that in a minute here. So let me throw your great Nick Sirianni 667 win percentage at you. Do you know Nick Sirianni has a better win percentage than Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, and Doug Peterson? Would you take Nick Sirianni over any one of those coaches, including Chip? Would you? Well, here, wait a minute. Rich Kotite has a 563 win percentage. He's got a higher win percentage than Doug Peterson. Buddy Ryan has a 551 win percentage. He's got a higher win percentage than Doug. Dick Vermeil has a 535, the worst of them all. And do you really think that Nick Sirianni is a better coach than Dick Vermeil, Buddy Ryan, Doug Peterson, Andy Reid? Because he's got a higher win percentage? Who in their right fucking mind would hire that over Andy Reid? Your philosophies are crazy on win percentage. 667. Andy Reid's 583. Well, Reid's got Super Bowls. Not in Philly, he doesn't. So are you trying to tell me you think Nick Sirianni is a better head coach than Dick Vermeil? Would you hire Nick Sirianni over Dick Vermeil? Would you? Some of you in here and some people around Philadelphia would hire Nick Sirianni over Dick Vermeil. Over Dick Vermeil, who's barely above 500. That means, according to some of you, that you would hire Buddy Ryan and Rich Kotite over Doug Peterson. He's got a higher win percentage than Doug. So you would hire Rich Kotite over Doug Peterson, according to some, because he's got a better win percentage. It's hard to win in the NFL. Is that your theory? Or is it about advancing your product, getting your team better, getting your quarterback better, being consistently great, being a problem solver? Okay? It's crazy. We got a higher win percentage. Give a fuck about higher win percentages. So Dick Vermeil, I don't know. Hey, Tone, does Dick Vermeil have a 500 win record in St. Louis with the Rams? You know, I don't remember Dick Vermeil having a winning record with the Rams. But according to some, you would hire Nick Sirianni because he's got a 667 win percentage over Dick Vermeil. And Dick Vermeil might be under 500 in St. Louis. I think the only year he had a great year was the year they won the Super Bowl. I mean, anybody who thinks that clown belongs as the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles will be once again in for a rude awakening like they were this year when you were calling him the best coach in the NFL. There were actually people in Philly calling Nick Sirianni the best coach in the NFC. Now they're saying he's right to stay. Now, it's half the group and half the room in the media are doing that now because, you know, they got to get access to the room and they got friends inside the organization. So remember something. They got to keep relationships going. Me here, I could care less. I don't care if you like me or you don't. I really don't care. I never have. In my 36 years of broadcast, I've never cared about that. Okay? I've never cared. Vermeil, record in Philly, 54-47. Kansas City, 44-36. St. Louis, 22-26. That's where he won a Super Bowl. So do you actually think Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Dick Vermeil? Dick Vermeil in St. Louis is under 500. He's 4 games under 500. 667, 3 straight playoffs. You would hire Dick Vermeil. I would hire Dick Vermeil. You know what you would do? You would hire Nick Sirianni because 10-1. Don't let the record snow you or fool you. NFL records are fool's gold. And you know how we know this? What if the Chiefs win this weekend? How many games did the Chiefs win this year? 10? Did they win 10 games? What if they beat the Ravens in Baltimore and they won 4 less games? They won 11 games. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Baltimore won 13 or 14 games. Okay? Isn't Baltimore the better team? Or is it because Mahomes and Andy Reid? Those are the people right there that you're betting against. You're betting against, and by the way, I'll tell you what, John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson versus Andy Reid and Mahomes, that's quite a Titans battle here this weekend for the AFC Championship. I can't wait to see that. That's must-see, tune-in television, watching those two guys go after one another. How about this one, too? Am I right when I say this, that Jared Goff can become just the 7th quarterback to take 2 different teams to a Super Bowl? What a resume builder. What if Jared Goff gets to the Super Bowl and wins it? And he wins a Super Bowl and has 3 conference championship rings to boot. Are you starting to talk about Hall of Fame? 4 of the last 6 years, he's thrown for $4 grand. He's won a Super Bowl, if he does, and he's won 3 conference title games. Are you starting to talk about that guy for Hall of Fame conversation? Why wouldn't you? 2 different teams to Super Bowls, a championship, 3 conference titles. He'll be the most accomplished quarterback in the NFC. If he gets that team to the Super Bowl and wins it, Jared Goff will be he'll be the most accomplished. Right now, he's the most accomplished quarterback in the NFC. This is another conference championship game he's in. This is the 2nd conference title with 2 different teams. And you're talking about the Lions. On the other hand, you got Brock Purdy, a guy who everyone thinks, because he was drafted the last player in the draft, he's not as accomplished as these other guys. These other guys have what? These other guys are all first-round draft choices. He's not. You should be rooting for Brock Purdy. I actually am. I'd like to see Brock Purdy turn that $50 million a year tag that you have to have a $50 million quarterback on its ear. You know, Lamar Jackson could do the dual threat thing and turn that on its ear. Mahomes wins another title, 3 championships. We're now starting to talk about conversations of Montana and Aikman and Bradshaw. And then the next guy's Brady. There's so many subplot stories here and sidebar stories. It's remarkable. Brock Purdy, $870,000. That shit staying Quasi Weekends or Weeking Quasi or what's his name? Quez Watkins. That's it. I forgot because I didn't really see him all this year. Marshmallow Hands. Stick with that one. The Pillow Fighter makes more money. Crazy. Crazy, crazy great stories this weekend. Hey, will Kyle Shanahan get his Super Bowl finally? That will be an incredible story, to say the least. And then we slide back to, as the world turns in Philly, with all their drama and all their noise and all their bullshit and all their lies and non-sustained success. I mean, the Lions and the Niners are going to be better than you for about 3 years. They're not paying Jared Goff gigantic money. They got him on a decent deal. Remember, he was a throwaway in the Stafford deal. He was the throwaway bridge quarterback who's now in a conference title game. By the way, I'm not shitting on that deal. Have you guys ever seen a deal work out for two teams that was really great? Matthew Stafford, I'm not ripping the deal. The Lions rebuilt themselves with the deal. The Rams won a Super Bowl and are back to being a good-looking football team of the future if Stafford can stay healthy. I don't think it was a bad deal on either end. And if you really want to be candid about it, until Detroit gets to the Super Bowl or wins it, the Rams have the better deal here. Now, maybe in the long run, the Lions, because of all the people that they've hit on, that's a great deal that both parties benefited from. The Rams wanted to win a Super Bowl now. The Lions wanted to build for one, and they are. Kudos to Brad Holmes, man. They've turned an entire organization that hasn't won a championship since 1957 around. That's what you're talking about, hitting on your draft picks, hitting on your free agents, and building for the future. It's a great job. It's a great storyline. It's a wonderful storyline. I love it. I actually can't wait to see the four best teams in the NFL playing against one another. We'll talk about it too. Obviously, we'll preview it. These are the four best teams. You know why? You know what's great about the four best teams that you're seeing this weekend? Ain't nobody throwing 10-1. Ain't nobody talking about bullshit. You had to play yourself into it. This isn't a committee picking the four best teams. This was a tournament you had to get to and get through. I got a deep storyline for you. If the Lions versus the Ravens, that's a pre-Super Bowl era rematch. Lions beat Browns in 57. Browns left to become the Ravens. Browns, that's pretty good there, man. Very good history, Bobby. Way to connect it. Outstanding. Outstanding stuff. All right. We're going to have some fun here today in a bit because I'm going to pick your players of the year on the Eagles if you can stomach this. We're also going to do this. I saw a story and I saw a sound clip and a video bite of Drew Rosenhaus talking about Vic Fangio. You got to remember something about Drew Rosenhaus. He is a guy that you cannot trust. He is a guy that has his client's self-interest. He is an agent who only thinks about his guys and what's in the best interest of his guys and then him. But the one thing that he's not going to do is try to ruin relationships. Why? Because he's got to deal with the majority of these organizations on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Sills, I appreciate that you call it as you see it. Keep cooking. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Rudy. It's all we do here. Okay? That's all we do. Most people don't like people telling the truth. It's okay. And by the way, I appreciate everybody that comes in here every day and types their little heart out. I do. You know I do. Because you're making us bigger and bigger. I can't thank you enough. As Charlie Sheen would say, winning! Because it's important to you to be here on a daily basis. Just like Greasy. Sue, I love you. Thank you. All good. So, as it pertains to Rosenhaus, one thing Drew's not is a liar. And he said something that Vic Fangio wasn't really well liked by some of the players that were on the team, most notably on the defense. And that there were guys that were even with the Dolphins posting on X or Instagram some sort of comments about Vic Fangio not coming back as the D coordinator of the Dolphins. Great. I don't want you to like your D coordinator. I want you to play for your D coordinator. That's what that fucking team needs, is somebody in there with an attitude. And if you don't like it, pound sand. It's about time that you got somebody with some balls to go in there and do this. Sit the fuck down. Shut your mouth. Instead of sitting here and patting people on the back for getting killed and going 1-6 down the line. That's the kind of coach I want. I want a coach that's going to be honest. Kid, you suck. You're not getting it done. And I'm going to replace you. So when I hear players in Miami crying about the D coordinator, and a guy that's been in the league 30 plus years and is revered as one of the better coordinators in the league, you think I give a shit what a Miami Dolphin player thinks of Vic Fangio? Honest to God, I could care less what those guys think. I have no caring. It has no bearing at all if the player likes him or not. Hey, weren't Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts boys? What'd that get you? What did that get you? Oh, so those guys were friends since, Jalen was 2. So? I think that's one of the reasons that the Philadelphia Eagles wanted him so badly, was because they wanted a guy with some authority that was going to come in and read these guys the riot act when they weren't playing good ball. What? Does anybody have a problem with crybaby Dolphin players not liking? And by the way, seriously, so Darius Slay, you got to make a decision on that guy. He's represented by Drew Rosenhaus. You know what Vic Fangio is going to do? Dude, you want to be here or you don't want to be here? This is going to be entirely up to you. You're going to restructure that contract, or guess what I'm going to do? I'll eat the money, and I'll tell those guys to eat the money, but I don't need somebody who's going to be worth half the money playing corner. I can get a rookie to do that and develop him for the next 6 years. Instead of paying your sorry ass, you can either play ball or not play ball. We're going to take some hits on our dead money this year. And you're priority number 2 on that list. And you know who else is? You, James Bradbury. You two guys are my number 1 priority this offseason. You two fuckers better play game and play ball, or guess what? I'll cut your ass. And I'll eat the money. Because I need those roster spots. This is where I think they're going when you bring in guys like Vic Fangio. Okay? That's about time, man. You can't be held hostage because of money, or you're doomed. Kansas City wasn't going to be held hostage with Tyreek Hill's money. They sent his ass to Miami. Got draft picks, retooled the defense, AFC title game 6th straight year. How you doing? Don't you get it? This is about building a structural salary cap and a roster that is balanced. Your salary cap is an unbalanced cap and it's top heavy. That's your general manager. That's supposed to be his forte. He has completely screwed up the defensive side of the football money-wise. Completely screwed it up. So this high-powered, big deal guy that I hear people talking about completely imploded the defense financially. What's your excuse to that? What's your excuse? What's your excuse? Seals, do you think they will keep Bradbury because of the money? I do, Chad. Chad, the only way I'm going to keep him, though, is if he restructures. If he restructures the deal, they'll keep him. If not, I think they eat the dead money. They eat the dead money. They need the roster spot more than the $15 million corner who can't play. Top 5 in wins since 2000, Sills, and you have nothing to show for this but one Super Bowl. That guy is celebrating being less than the Giants. Celebrating being less than the Ravens. Celebrating being less than the Rams. The Bucks. You're celebrating one Super Bowl. Completely, again, let's do this here. This fits for everyone. How many people believe that Tony Dungy, and I've asked you this question before, underachieved with Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Marshall Faulk, and Edgerrin James in Indianapolis by winning only one Super Bowl? How many people think they underachieved there? I do. Tony has said it himself. We should have won more. He wasn't talking about 13 wins. He's talking about the fact that Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh has more Super Bowls in one destination than Peyton does. I mean, I'll say this to you. Make no mistake about it. Vic Fangio being hired, he's being hired for more than just a 34 defense. They're bringing an authoritarian in. They're bringing a guy who's going to bring assistant coaches in. They're bringing guys who are going to be able to get in people's asses. I'm actually liking this hire more and more and more. And guess what? The Dolphin players sold me on it. They're crying about the guy because the guy was too hard on them. Hey, the reason that Dolphin defense fell apart and went down to 19th at the end of the year, you know why? They had massive injuries, man. Martin asks a great question. You think Fangio will make Dean better by any chance? He can't hurt. You know why? I'll tell you something that they're interviewing. I had a great conversation with Joe Barry. You know how I know Joe Barry? He was the Bucks linebacker coach for Monty Kiffin. You know who he worked with? Raheem, Lovey. He was on that Buck defense with Monty Kiffin. He knows how to have Tampa too. Now, is Joe Barry a great D coordinator? That I have a question on. But as a linebacker coach, he's a fucking great coach. This guy coached Derek Brooks. I mean, this guy coached so many good players on that Bucks team at the linebacking position. Know your history. Okay? I mean, Hardy Nickerson swears by him. You guys probably don't even know really good football players when I say the name Hardy Nickerson. He's a good linebacker coach. Coordinator, again, remember, do you understand the reason that the Eagles are interviewing all of these people is because You're trying to put the chess pieces in the right place on the board. Thoughts on moving Blankenship, the linebacker? RTF, why not go get a linebacker? Why do I have to coach a kid like he's in junior football by moving a position to him? This is the NFL. Moving Blankenship, the linebacker, he's undersized. He can barely cover tight ends now. Okay? Why do that when I can go and sign a free agent linebacker? Eagle fan, Simeon Rice should have won that MVP award when the Bucs won the Super Bowl, not the return guy that won it. He should have won it because he was spectacular in that game against the Raiders. And he should have won the most valuable player award, I thought. And he's a 100-sack guy. And all those guys were on that coaching staff. Okay? I don't know about Devin White, Mark. I'll tell you why, because Devin White got beat out by a really good football player down in Tampa. Now the kid Queen in Baltimore, he's a fine-looking ball player, and he's young. And he's a young player. So, guys, when you're talking about Vic Fangio and guys crying and the media bringing that shit up like it's a problem, I don't look at it as a problem. I look at it as an endorsement. Good. Isn't that what that team – you think that team needs to get their ass kicked a little bit when it comes to a little bit of leadership and a little bit of authority? Select Trotter Jr. Tell Dean, hey, this your rep, okay? I think those guys endorsed Vic Fangio. Okay? I think those guys endorsed them. Hey, man, Mike goes like this, Trotter Jr. I don't know yet. Trotter Jr., why? Because his old man played in Philly? That's not a reason to draft him. That's the least reason to draft him. As a matter of fact, that's a strike. I have no interest in that. Because then you're putting your passion and your loyalty to a former player as one of the parameters to evaluate him on. That has nothing to do whether he can play or not in the NFL. That has nothing to do with it. That's the last thing on the – if it just happens to work out that the kid gets drafted by the Eagles aren't taking him in the first round. And I don't think anybody is. I think he's a third-round pick. Okay? I think he's third round. He's third or second. Somewhere high third, middle of the second. Unless he has a great combine. He goes in there, blows him away. He could be at the bottom of the draft, sitting down there. But again, ask yourself this. Do you actually really believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to draft a linebacker at 19? How many people in here believe that? How many people actually believe that they would draft a linebacker in the second round? That's a reach. That's not what they do. And that's not how good they are. They've never been good at drafting those positions. And Howie Roseman's time in Philadelphia, now all of a sudden, in 2024 April draft, you think he's going to turn into Bill Polian. Or you think he's going to turn into Ozzie Newsome. Really? What gives you that reason? What gives you that? See, every time you guys have to have a take on something, you've got to back your take up with it. And when you tell me to take Trotter Jr., okay, and you're telling me to take Trotter Jr., okay, well, let's find out a little more about him. Let's watch some game tape on him. Is he a 20-foot rule guy? 20 feet of tape is all you need to really watch of a player before you can make your assessment. Then you want to talk to him. The interview, in my opinion, those stupid-ass drills at the combines in Indianapolis are the dumbest things on the planet. I get nothing out of that. I get nothing out of it. Can you play? Hey, well, get this. Let me ask you something about your boy Jordan Davis. Okay? Let me ask you about your boy Jordan Davis. Did he live up to his combine? Has Jordan Davis lived up to his combine? Yes or no? You think he's lived up to his combine? 4.78, 3.48. Ran a spectacular shuttle drill. Was awesome in the bags. Has he lived up to it? Trey says he's a winner and he can't play third down. And he fell apart in the last 8 games of the year. But Steve likes him. Says that's a win. It's probably a win, Steve, because he is a starter. You're not looking to draft Pro Bowlers. You're looking to draft starters in the first round. I actually think the first 3 rounds you're looking for starters, because actually the most productive round in NFL history is the 3rd round. That's where the majority of the starters in league history come from, is the 3rd round, not the 1st round. It's like when people talk shit on Bill Belichick and how he can't build a team. Well, he found Amendola, Edelman, Gronk, Hernandez, all those players on defense, Brady, Garoppolo. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, there's 53 men on a roster, not one. I don't care if you have a great quarterback. If you don't have other pieces filled in and you don't have other parts filled in, you guys think you guys have a great football quarterback, don't you? Well, what did that get you this year? Nowhere. You think you guys have a great quarterback, right? And what happened? The roster, right? The rest of the roster wasn't good. Well, it works in Philly too. It works in Philly. We have a great quarterback, Sills. Okay. Got you nowhere. And by the way, for one thing, it's for sure, your quarterback's got 5 Pro Bowlers on your offense. And you still couldn't do anything with 5 Pro Bowlers and a $50 million quarterback because the rest of your roster wasn't good. Theoretically, 6 Pro Bowlers and a $50 million quarterback, and you couldn't do shit with them. That's an indictment on the organization on what I told you when I opened the program. You know what that is? You're top heavy in your cap, and you have an unbalanced salary cap. You have an unbalanced roster. You're top heavy everywhere across the board. Richie goes 5 Pro Bowlers? Yeah. Dickerson, Kelsey, Swift, Johnson, and AJ. Did I miss something? Did I miss something? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Richie. In case you can't count. 5. And a $50 million quarterback. Talking to me about building. And this week, they're not, and by the way, one thing came out of that press conference also, the Liars Club. You're not making fundamental changes in how you look at linebackers or corners or safeties. They don't think it's a them problem. They think it's a coaching problem. And that's why they're bringing in more quality coaches. Because you know what it's doing? It's once again insulating Howie. Howie's telling the owner, this ain't on us. Because what did he say? We have a great young linebacker in Jakobi. Zach had a great year. We have a bunch of good players on our football team. And he's basically throwing shade over at the coaches that they didn't get it right. And that's why you're bringing in Vic Fangio. I'm willing to argue that they had 9 Pro Bowl level players: Hurts, Swift, Brown, Smith, Lane, Kelsey, Dickerson, Mulata, Goddard. Yeah, because that was the 22 crew. Yeah, absolutely. 9 of the 11 players have. How about this, Tone? We do this. 9 of the 11 football players that are on the Eagle offense have Pro Bowl teams in their resume. They have Pro Bowl names and alternates and all this. Even last year, you had, what's his name? Isaac Seumalo was an alternate. Could make that comment for sure. What happened? Your roster is not balanced. It's an unbalanced roster. No matter how good your quarterback is, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a good defense, you're not going anywhere. End of story. How about this? I heard Tone say something on Sports Take earlier. You don't have to have the 2000 Ravens to win a Super Bowl. You don't have to have the Buccaneer defense of sapping them guys to win a Super Bowl. You just got to be able. Hey, how many people think that 2017 Philadelphia Eagle defense was a top 5 defense? Shit, man. Brady went for 500 yards in that game, didn't he? Went up and down the field. They got one stop. They got one stop in that game. One stop. All they need to win a Super Bowl. That's what they're looking for. That's what you're looking for. By the way, Tone, what was the defense overall ranked this year? Can someone help me on that? Could someone help me on what the defense was ranked? I'll show you something even more insane. I'll bet you that the defense this year had a better ranking than the 17 defense. Overall. And shit, wasn't your offense ranked 9th? Micah says no? Okay. I thought I saw somebody say that the 17 team was ranked 14th the year that they won the Super Bowl. They were ranked 14th overall. I know they're 26th when it came to pass defense. Okay? I know they were down there, but they were like 8th against the run or 9th against the run, something like that. So you got to take all of that into account. Remember, it's 17 ball games. You got to have a balanced roster. And you got to have decent coaches. Okay? So you're telling me, Roland, that the defense overall was ranked 32nd. And they were 9th in rushing defense. Somehow that doesn't add up, kid. Eagles were ranked 4th in 17? Okay, I didn't know that. I thought they were ranked lower. Good, okay. Good. This defense, though, if you're ranked 15th, 14th, you can win a Super Bowl. You can win a Super Bowl with that. Look at the Lions right now. The Lions are ranked what pass defense? 26th? It's going to be interesting to see how they played against the 49ers. All right. Let's move on to this topic. Dan, you're a Buck fan. No, I'm not. Why? Because I played there? I told you before, I don't root for any team. I'm not going to say that again. Okay? MFK, Dan, I don't care to listen to your negative bullshit about the Eagles and Howie I trust. Another delusional Eagle fan right there who just sits there and listens to bullshit all day long. Someone telling you lies all day. MFK sits there and thought that press conference, probably that Love Fest or that Liars Club, was probably an awesome thing. Good for you, man. And how MFK thinks 1-6 was awesome down the stretch. Good for you, dude. You thought that was a good show or a shit show? He thinks it's great. They wouldn't live in games, man. Holy cow. What an absolute buffoon to think that. What a buffoon. Dude, you're the person that gives Eagle fan a bad name because the whole entire fan base is awesome. But guys like you are losers. Next year, man. Next year, you'll win 5 games. With that defensive personnel, let's do this. Who's going to make the Pro Bowl off your defense next year? You know what? I heard people on our network and on the radio saying that the Eagles can fix that defense. No, you're not. With the group you have? Like, who? So you're going to bring in 9 more new guys and think you're going to all of a sudden have cohesiveness, a new coordinator, and you're going to have a top 5 defense? How in the world does that work out like that? First of most important, you have to have a solidified what? Mike Backer. Let's do this. What turned the Philadelphia Eagle defense around in 2021? The moment that you started TJ Edwards, your defense turned around. You had a competent, signal calling Mike linebacker. What turned around the Baltimore Raven defense from a year ago? One of the top flight Mike backers in the league in Roquan Smith. What turned around the Detroit Lions? Having a good and competent linebacking core. Why? Because what do most teams do today? Most teams are becoming tight end centric. If you can't cover that guy, you can't win ball games. You just can't. You are weak at the position that you need to be the strongest. You invested 2 first-round draft choices in your tackles, and they fell apart at the end. And you get this, and in your Liars Club press conference, you did everything in your power to justify the shitty linebacker play. Am I right when I say that? He had more praise for a group that was the worst group next to the corner play on the defense than he did even for a team that did pretty well against the run until they put Patricia in. Think about that. Did they get the most out of their D-line? No. But if you were comparing this group this year to 2022 that they were going to get 70 sacks, you're out of your mind. I'm with Chris Long on how to fix the defense. You need to fix the back end of the defense. I completely disagree with Chris Long because last year contradicts that. Don't you see that? Tom Aline thinks that Chris Long's right. You have to fix the back end. You're wrong. What was the number one difference this year in your defense. You didn't get home. Your pressure was down. Your hits on the quarterback were down. More developing routes. It exposed your corners. Your corners are just the same people they were in 22, maybe a step less than they were in 23. But the number one thing you had in 22 was 70 sacks, multiple hits on the quarterback, multiple tackles for losses in 22. All that volume was cut in half. And you had competent linebacker play. You had two guys. One guy with 160 tackles and another guy with 120 tackles that you were not able to replace. Get this. So when Chris says, we got to fix the back end, wait a minute. You had the same guys you had in 22 that you had this year. But this year, you had 300 tackles taken out of the middle of your football team. You didn't get home. You didn't get near the sacks you had. And you didn't have near the pressure you had because the volume was down. What do you think played a factor in the Eagles secondary not living up to any expectations? The front end of the defense didn't produce. That's not opinion. That's what they did. That's not an opinion. That's not an opinion. You couldn't replace 300 tackles and 70 sacks. What else is there to talk about here? Tell you this, I agree with you, Mark. Hargrave was a tougher replace than you think. He may not have been the greatest run defender, but he gave you multiple sacks. Hey, could someone tell me how many sacks he had this year for San Francisco? And did he make the Pro Bowl? I think Hargrave made the Pro Bowl. I don't know if it was a first or second or third team. But how many sacks did he have in San Francisco this year? I know last year he had 11 with the Eagles. Okay? And he was part of that group. All that volume played a factor in your back end looking like trash this year. And you got rid of Denard Wilson. Here were the absolute missteps on defense. You counted on your linebackers that you had, and you were, get this. Do you guys remember? Thank you, Seven. Do you guys remember what I said when you guys got Nicholas Morrow and I said, so you're starting the Bears downgrade and the Bears are starting an upgrade in TJ Edwards. You started a downgrade. And another guy who had no success whatsoever in Dean, and thought that was going to be a remedy with a first-year coordinator, second-year coordinator, and a new DB coach. Come on, man. The not bringing back a Denard Wilson was catastrophic. The replacing of all those coaches was catastrophic. I'm talking of 24, you replaced 12 with new roles, and you didn't get home. And your depth level wasn't good enough on the perimeter. Josh Sweat played over 300 plays off his normal production total. Think about that. He played an extra 5 games because you didn't have proper depth. And then you turn around and go, he wasn't productive. No shit. He played 24 games this year. Big Sills, believe the Chargers pulled off hardball. I can't believe it either. Lurie, like Spanos just did, needs to realize to get out of the way. Charlie, it's a remarkable move by the Spanos family on not having. You know what they did too, Charlie? When you do that, you release the purse strings if you're the Spanos family. by giving the control to Harbaugh, because Harbaugh's going to hire football people and bring football players in. These guys like Howie Roseman are bookworms, CPAs. That's why they robbed the defense this year, and that's why you have an unbalanced salary cap. See, Howie Roseman's not a football guy, okay? He's a banker. Howie Roseman's a banker. He's not a football guy. He's a banker. You know, he tries to balance the books. He's good on spreadsheets. Oh, wait. Spreadsheets is for Nick Sileo, because that's what he said he's going to do. He's going to pop his head in on defensive meetings, offensive meetings, special teams, and he's going to put spreadsheets together. That's right. That's his job. Right. He gives the spreadsheets to the banker, Howie Roseman. Yeah. That's more like it. Okay? Okay, yeah, because Sileo, he's more of a spreadsheet guy. He sits in there with like the ruler and the protractor, putting all these little like practice things together that Javon Hargrave says no one really practices. But I guess they're going to practice harder now. I don't know. I couldn't tell anything out of that Liars Club. Okay. Hey, no. I did say this. If I was going to give Howie Roseman a job, he's the banker. Completely give him a raise for the Jalen Hurts deal. Building the team this year, I'd fire him. The Sean Desai move, I'd fire you. The hiring of the coordinators, I'd fire you. The firing of Doug Peterson, I'd fire you. To taking the credit for the 17 Super Bowl, I'd fire you. You can always count on that guy to bring that ring out, can't you? Howie loves bringing that ring out. You know, some of you in here go like this. You bring Doug up. I bring Doug up because Howie brings the ring up. Remember, you got to kiss the 17 ring. When you keep your job at the No Care Center, you got to kiss the ring. What's that ring say? Yeah, and I told you this. None of the players have their name on it. It's got the banker's name on it. And Howie we trust. Imagine Harbaugh and Howie in the same building. Jim Harbaugh would have him in a headlock. He'd have him in a headlock. Or he'd do the Vader powerbomb on him. Right? Hulkamania would go nuts on him. What are you, crazy? See, football people don't talk to bankers. Mask goes, you sound like a huge hater. Oh, I freaking hate everything that went on this year. And so should you. And if you don't, that's a you thing, kid. If you don't hate what went on this year, you got a problem. I don't have a problem. You got a problem. See, get this. He calls me a hater for hating on 1-6 finish and a complete nuclear meltdown implosion from within. And he calls me a hater, and he don't hate what went on this year. Well, which is it, guy? Who's the hater? You not hating what went on? Or are you just hating what I'm saying? I'd like to know, Mask. Tell me what you're saying, Mask. Are you hating what I'm saying? Or are you hating what went on this year on what I'm pointing out? Tell me what you're hating. I want to know. Name, what's the one thing you're mad at me for saying that you're calling me a hater for? Let's hear it. Tell me what you hate that I'm a hater on. If the Niners had to pay Purdy a salary equal to his performance and ability, hey, you're right. He's a $55 million a year guy. Q, Sills, I have seen a couple of teams have two GMs, one to do like what Howie does best and one to talent evaluate. Do you think that's a good idea? I do, but I'm not sure that would go on. And I'll tell you where that goes on. That goes on in Pittsburgh. They got a capologist and they got a general manager. A lot of places do that, and I like that formula. You got a guy that handles the books, and you got a guy who handles personnel. You got pro personnel people that do that stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I think John Schneider was in Tampa with Rich McKay, and that kind of dynamic worked there a little bit. I actually like football people being the general manager of the team with decisions and personnel and all that stuff, and then you have a capologist guy. That's kind of what Bruce Allen's job was. That's kind of what Bruce Allen's job was in Tampa and in Washington when he did that, okay? You're jealous that we won a 17 and almost won last year. I know for a fact you were happy we lost last year. I could give a fuck if you won or lost. I could care less. This is about my show and content. I could care less about winning and losing. As a matter of fact, I care more that you win because it's better for my show. That guy's a dummy. He thinks covering a shitty team helps your show out. You got me confused, guy. That's not a priority of mine. I mean, that's not a priority of mine. Hoping for the Eagles to win. You think I want them to win 5 games? No, you're trending that way because your stupidity inside your organization. But you see, he's mad at me because I'm pointing out the incompetence that they had down the stretch going 1-6. And he likes the 1-6 finish, but says I'm a hater on it. Sills is delusional on what? Your 1-6 finish? Delusional on what? No. You know what you're delusional with? That Nick Sirianni is still your coach. Oh, I have to congratulate Angelo Cataldi on winning the Lifetime Achievement Award. They're going to be honoring him in New York City coming up in a couple months. And his Lifetime Achievement Award. And one of the big firms is giving him this award. And congratulations, Angelo. And I am very glad that you passed the torch to me. Thank you. It's an honor. And I'll hold it like the Statue of Liberty. We take you all, even all the idiots. They talk shit, yet they come. That's what I say, Tone. Mentally challenged some people. Isn't it crazy? Some people get more upset with the messenger than they do with the actual message of 1-6. How about this one? How about this one, Mask? You're 1-6. You look like shit at the end of your season. You're mad at me for that. What do I have to do with it? What do I have to do with it? What do I have to do for it? You see, one of the great things about Big Sills, I'm not seen in public too much. I don't get out. And you get a shot to sit in here because I go back and forth with you. Not a lot of people have access to me. You're welcome. I found it insulting that Howie tried to say Dean and Cunningham are similar to TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. Man, you didn't take that out of there. You could not have. Dude, come on. I did hear him say that I did hear him say, though, that Dean was a great player They have great confidence in them. Brian, I'm kidding. Being facetious. Come on, man. You know better than that. I don't mean that. What's wrong with fans keeping it 100% and saying, damn, Dan, you're right. Can't do it. We did suck at the end. How do we fix it? It takes no effort. Right? To be clear. Right? Again. I think, sometimes too, Tone, what a lot of people do, they don't like to face failure and why it failed and why you had belief in someone. A tough guy? I'm not a tough guy, man. I was a tough guy 20 years ago when I threw people like you out of buildings. Okay, now I'm just a pacifist. I'm a nice guy now. I don't do those things. I'm just an old man now who can't jump over quarters. I'm not that dude anymore. Okay? I'm not. I'm just a nice guy now. I'm just a sweetheart of a guy now. Not nonviolence, man. I don't believe in it, I believe in communication and debating. I've changed my ways. You know what it is, Sills? People hate being fooled. That's exactly true. And when they realize they've been fooled, they don't like to be reminded they've been fooled. It hurts their spirits. I'll tell you something. I'm going to say something to you. Look at Prince. I don't like you, but you're right. He literally said they are the same players in 17 and 22 linebackers are. No shit. Oof. You know why Tone's going knee deep? By the way, we're going to hear him at 3:30. Our NFL insider, Jason Cole, at 4:30. The legendary Philly Godfather will join us at 5:30. You know why Tone's going knee deep? And I don't want to say being combative to some of the guests he gets on. But you know what he is? He was fooled. And you know what I like? See, me, I'm a little bit more abrasive. But he'll get there too, because he's getting there. I hate to rub off on him like that. Chef Boyar, Sills cooking away. Hey, Q. Hey, but you know what happened to him this year? He did this one day. They were 10-1 or 10-0 or whatever it was. He was going, Sileo's full of shit, man. This team's good. This team, they went in. All of a sudden he said, man, they got beat. They got killed. Holy cow. Cowboys and Niners. Okay. Then when Seattle happened, then when the Giants happened, then when Arizona happened, then when the Giant game they lost happened, he was like, fuck them. I get it now. Okay? I get it now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First, we're going to take a look at the candidates for, and let me see something here. Candidates for NFL MVP. We're going to talk about the Eagle guys who should win your MVP awards, your season ending. Did Josh Allen end up on that list for NFL MVP candidate? Oh, he did. There it is. Where's Hurts? There's Josh Allen. Huh. Sorry, Tone. Hey, don't forget our good friends at Hooters. 2024 calendars are out. $100 in coupons are inside the calendars. They're there for you. Again, 9 of the girls are featured inside the calendars. You can go to HootersToGo.com too when you go to any one of the facilities. Great specials right now, especially during the divisional and conference games. We were giving away opportunities for you to have $2 off on pitchers now for the conference championship games. $2 off. Buck goes to local charities. Great time for all. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. Don't forget this weekend, also kids eat for free. Lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3 p.m. Boneless wings. Happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. $6, 6 items. That's NortheastTutors.com. NortheastTutors.com. When you roll in, do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
Ball and Hooters, the perfect pair.